These you're just dividing by 4. You're taking the exponent and dividing by 4. If you know I tell my kids, write it out. I to the first is I to the second is -1 because it's a negative square root of -1, whatever. I to the third is equal to -I because this times this is that, and this times this is that. I to the fourth then is the same thing as saying, this thing squared. So what is that squared? Well, it's a positive 1. And then it repeats. So every 4, this thing's going to repeat, and every 4th time it's going to be equal to 1. So if one of these is divisible by 4, as this one is, then it's going to equal 1. If it's not divisible by 4, then you're going to have a remainder. That remainder is going to either be 1, 2, or 3. So what I suggest people do is take a look at the problem. If it's even, it's 1 or -1. If it's divisible by 4, it's a positive 1. If it's not, it's a -1. This is not divisible by 4, so it's a -1. Not divisible by 4, -1. Okay? These other two are not divisible by 2 or 4, so they're odd. So one thing you can do, divide by 4. 4 goes into 13 only 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Now that 3 doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing here. The fact that I have a remainder of 1, if as I go into 13, if it doesn't go in evenly, what's my remainder? My remainder is 1, so basically it's the same thing as saying I to the first power, which, according to this, is just I. If you do that same thing with 59, you go 4 into 59, 4 into 5 once. 1 to 4 is 4. Subtract, you got a 1. Bring down the 9. 4 goes into 19, 4 times. Again, the 14 is not useful to us. The fact that it goes through the cycle 14 times. What is useful is when I subtract this, I'm left with a remainder of 3. And so if I have a remainder of 3, it's the same as saying it's I to the third power, which means it's -I. Thank you for playing.